Anyway, it's a real pleasure this evening to have Dave Pearson with us. And Dave is a senior producer within the newsroom at the BBC, especially in the news channel and also News at One. So, Dave, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
My pleasure.
It's good to have you here, and it'll be good to sort of ask you a few questions, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah.
But first of all, can you just give us just a bit of a background of who you are and where you're from and that sort of thing?
Yeah, with pleasure. Well, it's terrifying being in front of a camera. I'm usually behind the camera 24/7, but yeah, I'm Dave. I'm from Carlisle in Cumbria originally, been living down in London for, oh blimey, since 2003, working for the BBC. So yeah, I work for the BBC News channel and also the BBC News at One. They're part of the same team. So as we were chatting earlier, it's when you see it on the TV, the big sweeping shots of the entire newsroom with lots of people, I'm one of those people.
Brilliant, that's great. So how long have you been working in this particular job at the moment then?
So actually, I've been quite lucky. I've been at the news channel since 2003. I had a year up in Manchester working for Radio 5 Live, but I've been at the news channel since 2003, but working my way up. So I'm now at the sort of the third rung on the ladder. And I often act up to a higher level as well. So I often act as an editor as well when they need to have someone to fill in a gap in the rota, which gives me career opportunities. So yeah, so I've been permanent in my current sort of rank, as it were, since 2014, but in the same team, which is a great team to work for, since 2003. So quite a while.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And could you just tell us a bit about your Christian life as well? You're a part of St Mary's in West Kensington?
I am, yeah. So St Mary's in West Kensington, near Olympia Exhibition Centre, for anyone who knows London, near Hammersmith. And yeah, I have been brought up in a Christian Church of England background, so I kind of can't ever remember sort of not going to church and not being part of church. But like everyone's Christian life, I'm sure there are sort of ebbs and flows of struggles and triumphs in your journey with Christ. In my teenage years, I did various sort of summer camps with church and things like that, and that was incredibly strengthening to my faith. But when I moved down at university, I had a bit of a fallow period, didn't really attend church too much, went to a few churches where I was in York. And then when I moved down to London in 2003, for about sort of 18 months, I was really unsettled, thought I'd made the biggest mistake of my life, even spoke to my former boss and said, I think I've messed up here. Can I have my old job back? And he was very honest, and he said, I would at a heartbeat, but I don't think it's the right decision. Stick with it. So those were the times when I was really praying to God, saying, look, have I made the wrong decision here? Guide me, strengthen me. And within a matter of weeks, I stumbled across St Mary's, my current church. So this was back in late 2004. And it was just a real blessing from God. And I've made some fantastic friends. I've been a church warden. I've been on the PCC. Through it, I've volunteered for about 10 years on a Scripture Union summer camp in Somerset. So recently, in the past couple of years, gave that up, but that was fantastic. So yeah, church life and my Christian faith has always sort of been part of me. But it's been a real help coming down to the big smoke in the last decade or so.
Yeah. Now, you working for the BBC can often be a little controversial, certainly from some Christians' point of view. It can seem to be a little bit left-leaning in its views and in its news. Do you think there is an institutional bias within the BBC?
So I don't. I don't at all. I work alongside people who have lots of different views and different thoughts and ideas about how life should be. I never ask them how they vote or anything like that. But in a way, my response is always kind of, how would it benefit the BBC, which is an organisation that everyone has a stake in, everyone pays a licence fee, or a vast majority of people do. So kind of what would it achieve if we were sort of biased this way, biased that way? And we as an organisation get sort of comment and opinion from all different sides, suggesting that there was a bias towards one side or the other. So I'd go back to say we strive. I mean, we're only human at the end of the day, but we strive every single day to provide free and impartial news and analysis, and I think we achieve it.
Great.
Wonderful. So you've got full editorial control over the articles that you have, and you've never felt any particular pressures to conform to one viewpoint or another?
No, not at all. I mean, there are lots of discussions and debates. That's the wonder of kind of the environment that I work in, really. I work alongside some really fascinating people, and we have good conversations about stories. And at the end of the day, kind of news judgment is kind of an art, not a science. So kind of what people think is the most important story, one day someone else might have a different opinion, and you just have to, based on your own experience and a relevance to the audience, because you've got to think of the audience all the time, make a decision and go with it.
Okay. John Humphreys, on his exit from the Today programme, suggested that the BBC didn't understand the British public, especially regarding Brexit. Do you think he had a point?
I think he had a book to sell. But he was a brilliant broadcaster, still is, working on Classic FM now, I think. But yeah, he was obviously coming to the end of his sort of career and wanted to sort of say a few things, which is fine. But I don't think he did have a point. I think, yes, there are instances where kind of any organization, any media organization, any newspaper kind of has to look at it itself and say, did we do this right? Did we do that right? I think the media in general has failed on kind of quite a few issues over the period of time in terms of representing people from different backgrounds and things like that. I mean, I think of the Grenfell disaster that happened quite close to me here in West London.
Yes.
And kind of long term, that's going to be a huge impact on how the media reports people from different backgrounds and who live in tower blocks like that, who just weren't being listened to by both the media, but also by politicians and authorities, really.
So what do you think the BBC's future looks like? And does that include a licence fee?
Don't know. Above my pay grade, I think. I pay my license fee like everyone else does. I think lots of people make lots of comparisons with other models, but at the moment, I don't think anyone else has come up with a better solution to funding a public service broadcaster like the BBC than the license fee. It might be going forward. There's some clever ideas going forward, but I think lockdown and the pandemic that we're in at the moment has, in my mind, and the viewers are tuning in to our news programs, but also other programs as well in record numbers, that the BBC has a real central part in many people's lives.
Okay. On a slightly different note, you are in London in lockdown. how's things in London at this moment in time? What's the current mood? How does it feel to just go about your daily business?
So yeah, I'm in London, and I've been going into the office since this all began. Really, I think I've had one working from home day, and I wasn't actually technically allowed out of the house because I'd been pinged by the NHS app. But they wanted me to work from home at that point. But all other days I've been going into the office, and yeah, I mean, this time is very different to March last year when I was going into the office. March, April, early May last year, you could almost kind of walk in the middle of some of the roads, really, which is unheard of in London. But now you kind of look around and you kind of wonder where all these people are going, really. And I think a lot of people who I come across are sort of observing all the right things, social distancing, mask wearing and things like that. But London's a big place. There are kind of people of all shapes and sizes and backgrounds and opinions. And yeah, traveling on the tube, vast majority of people are wearing masks. But yeah, you get the odd person. But yeah, it's very, very weird still, but not as weird as this time last year.
Yeah. I've got one final question.
Yeah.
Yes, you've got another one?
No, you go
okay.
ahead.
And that is is there a story, your favourite story that you've ever put out on the BBC? Which was it? And would we have heard of it?
Oh, well, let me think. So I work on the news channel, so we're kind of almost like a hamster wheel of news, really. So it's trying to remember. I mean, a lot of the big events, by their very nature, have been quite dramatic or sad, terrifying events, be it terrorist attacks around the world, or the death of Nelson Mandela, or Colonel Gaddafi, or whatever. But I tell you one thing that sticks in my mind is when I was up in Scotland, a part of the world that is kind of very close to my heart, for the referendum in 2014. And I ended up single-handedly producing a half-hour program and directing it and vision mixing it every night on the news channel, with kind of limited kind of skills before I got a quick training session on that. And just to be part of that event in history up in Scotland, where kind of in ordinary times people are very talkative, but just feeling the buzz of kind of people talking and talking politics in a cab, in a coffee shop and things like that, you could just really sense that kind of you were reporting something that really, really mattered to these people. Sometimes you can feel aloof or away from a certain story that you're talking about because you only kind of have a marginal interest in it or knowledge of it. But this was something that you could actually sort of speak and touch and feel the audience around you. So kind of professionally, I was sort of most proud of that, and kind of, yeah, who knows, we might have to go through it all again.
Not too soon, I hope. Yeah.
You can tell that you really love your job and that you're passionate about what you do. That's really great.
Yeah, well, it's great to be able to sort of wake up every morning and kind of do something that you enjoy. I was the kid who bored my parents senseless at Christmas, getting in an Encyclopedia Britannica and just reading out facts.
Wow.
Before the internet. So yeah, I've always been kind of nosy and curious about what's going on in the world, and the great exciting bit of my job is not knowing from minute by minute what might happen. You can plan so much stuff, but if I go back in work on Monday, I don't know what's going to happen. I can look at a list of planned events, but they get thrown out of the running order at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I guess it's like this time last year we had no idea COVID was going to come, did we? So
no.
Incredible.
Anyway, Dave, tragically our time has gone, so we better bring this interview to a close. But thank you so much for spending part of your Thursday evening with us,
Yeah,
and
thank you so
answering the
much.
questions so
My
beautifully.
pleasure.
It's been really good. So thank you so much for your time. It's lovely to get to know you a little bit, and hopefully perhaps we'll catch up again one day.
Yes.
Absolutely. Nice to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.